Hey guys, how you doing? Dave Moore here. I want to make a video about handgun malfunctions. Some people call them type 1, type 2, type 3. I call them a stovepipe, double feed, failure to eject, whatever. Whatever you call them what you will. Lately, I've been seeing, or I haven't been consistently seeing it, but the other day at the range, my buddy had a Glock and it was having a failure to feed. What was happening is the round was getting kind of stuck between the feed ramp and the magazine, and when you go to clear it, it was causing a double feed. So it was a new Glock. I don't know if that means anything, but it was happening, and it happened a few times. So you kind of need to know how to take care of that. And there's a few ways that I do it. There's a few ways that other people do it, but I'll show you what I do. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe it won't, but it seems to work for me, and I really don't have many malfunctions with my Glock. Last time I had a malfunction was when I did a Hoppy's dry lube experiment. I coated all the gun, barrel, everything in this dry lube, and turned out it's not very good in the Glock. In the AR it was good, but in the Glock it caused a lot of problems. So let's get to it, and I'll show you a few of the malfunctions and the ways that I do them. Alright guys, so the first malfunction that I'm going to show you is the stovepipe failure to eject, whatever you want to call it. Basically when the empty casing fails to eject out of the gun. This happens a lot of times with weak ammo, like Winchester white box, or an ammo light reloads that the ammo's not powerful enough to move that double recoil spring, especially in a Gen 4 Glock. Move back, get that slide moving to get that spent brass out of there. So a few easy ways to fix it. One of the ways is you're shooting, you notice it, sweep it out of the way, slide goes back forward, pew pew pew. So ultimately you see the brass sticking out of there, you need to get it out of there because you know it's not supposed to be there. Another way to do it is you see it there, see that brass? What a lot of people say is just do tap rack. That will clear most malfunctions. So you see it, tap, rack it, boom. I almost prefer the tap rack for the stovepipe because sometimes, at least if you set it up manually, you get it to where, I mean, it's lodged in there. You can't get it out. So you go to sweep that, you're just going to cut your hand in that brass. It's not going to work. So you see it, you go to sweep it, it ain't coming out of there. So you tap it, rack it, boom, then it'll work. So moral of the story is the tap rack bang will always work for a stovepipe or failure to eject. That's kind of what I prefer. I haven't had many of them happen. Last time I had one happen was when I did an experiment with Hoppy's dry lube. It's basically the spray that lubricates the gun, but it's dry. So I coated my Glock in all the parts, and it did not work very well. So don't use it on a Glock. It'll work good on an AR, but not on a Glock. So that's the last time I had that happen. At least for me, it's not very common, but if you shoot weak ammo, then it might be. So that's why I always recommend shooting something hotter. Blazer, aluminum, Blazer brass ammo. It's awesome, it's cheap, and I've had no problems with it. But I have had problems with Winchester white box out of a Gen 4 Glock. So that is the failure to eject or the stovepipe. Alright guys, so another one is a failure to feed. This one I saw yesterday at the range. It's a brand new Glock, factory mags, Wolf ammo, that has nothing to do with it, but factory ammo, ball ammo, and happened twice, once on the last round and once on the first round. It failed to feed. The first time, rack the slide, fails to feed. Kind of gets stuck up on the feed ramp. I tried to set it up. It didn't look like that, but this is about as close as I can get real quick here. But the round is starting to go up that feed ramp, but it gets kind of caught on like on the top of the barrel, the top of the chamber, and it won't go in. So it wasn't a magazine issue, I don't think. It was a new Glock. It was a Glock 19 Gen 4 OD green. I don't know if that had anything to do with it being new or what, but it happened. So what I found with that one is you do the tap rack, but sometimes it'll cause a double feed. So I guess there's two ways. You can tap rack it, or you can lock it back, strip the mag, and treat it like a double feed. But for the sake of argument right now, I'll try the tap rack. So nothing happens, something's wrong. Didn't work. Okay, it's not working. It's not what's happened, and it might have been the way I set it up. It's all locked up in there. So only way to fix it, in theory, would be to strip the mag, lock the slide back. There it goes, falls out. So in theory, that might have been a piss poor setup on my part. So let me try it again. These are actually snap caps. These are homemade snap caps, real bullets. They weigh the same as a live round, but they're not. And I've got them marked. There's a little piece of rubber there in the primer. Can't get it to happen again. So might be your best bet. Really, failure feed is tap rack. Better bet might be to just treat it like a double feed, which I'll show you next. Alright, so the next one is a double feed. Basically when two rounds try to feed. Perhaps the extractor didn't work on a spent casing, or perhaps an act of God happened. Whatever it is, looks like this. There's a round in the chamber, then there's a round being picked up by the slide from the magazine. So two things trying to fight for the same area. Two ways to do it. The way is most common, that most people will do, is you're shooting, something's wrong, rack slide to the rear, drop the mag, rack it a few times, make sure it's clear. In the meantime, if you see that round fall out, then it's clear. You don't have to imagine that's in there. You know it's clear. You insert a new magazine, rack slide, pew. Okay. That's one way to do it. Some people might say that takes up time, being that you're locking it, rack and slide all those, but at nighttime you can't see it, so you might need to do that. Another way to do it, so let's do it again. So, see, double feed set up. Another way to do it, something's wrong, push the magazine release, strip the magazine out, rack the slide until you see that round come out, insert the magazine. Oh. Another thing you need to think about, if you only carry one magazine, you carry only the gun and no spare magazines. Well, if you have a double feed, now mind you, only the gun and one mag. You don't carry these. So if you have a double feed, you have to save that magazine as you're racking. If that round doesn't fall out originally, you got to save this magazine so that you can reinsert it and rack it. So that might be a reason why you want to carry more than just your gun in that magazine. So if you carry more than one magazine, something's wrong, lock it, you just grab your spare magazine, and you know you've got ammo there. So, something to think about. If you do in fact only carry the one magazine in your gun, then you need to make sure that when it happens, that you retain that magazine, whether you put it in your pocket, hold on to it as you're racking, so that you can grab that magazine again as your new ammo. If not, you're going to be screwed, and you're going to be trying to fight in the ground for that magazine. So, double feed. I guess in some cases a tap rack on that will work also. Let's try it. So, you have double feed, tap, rack. It ain't going to work. I've heard people say it works, but as you see, it's still in there. What's going to happen is if you tap it and you rack it, your extractor claw isn't on that original round. So what's going to happen, it's going to take that round from the magazine and just keep jamming that one round in the chamber in there harder and harder. So then you have to strip it, rack that out, boom. So tap rack most likely is not going to work on a double feed malfunction. So what I recommend is lock slide to the rear, drop that magazine, rack it a few times until you see that round fall out, new mag in, and you're back up. It's going to work. So, one more malfunction that I will show you, and that is the out of battery, where luckily with these snap caps I'm using, it will go out of battery. Other than that, this Glock will not go out of battery. So maybe if it's really dirty, basically what it is, you can see the slide doesn't go all the way forward. So then if you're shooting, nothing happens, you see it, just hit the back of the slide, then it'll go forward. Now you're back up. So that's an easy one. It's just you have to, as you're shooting, make sure you can see it. If you can't see it, then you're going to end up tapping and racking. So that's really it. Pretty easy. Tap rack will work for most, but a double feed won't. And from my experience in shooting, is double feeds aren't that common. Not in a handgun, not in a Glock. So if you don't know anything about malfunctions, if you can just teach yourself the tap rack, you're probably better off. But like I said, these aren't the ways you should do them. I'm sure there's other ways, but mechanically there's only so much you can do with a handgun in a malfunction. So that's a few ways that I know, a few methods to do it. Take it as you will. Maybe they work for you, maybe they don't, maybe you don't like them, maybe you think I'm an asshole, I don't know. But they've worked for me at the range and whatnot, so try them out, practice with them, make sure you do practice with them, because all guns can have a malfunction, whether it's a Glock or not. So just make sure you keep that in mind. And, until next time, I'll see you later. Hey guys, I'm back. Actually, after I filmed that last little part, I forgot that there's a drill that you can do to practice these. And all it requires is some spent brass. So you have some spent casings. I don't know if you see them or not. Load the spent casings into your magazine, empty magazine. Obviously, no ammo in the room. Once you have it loaded, it looks funny. Take your gun, load the magazine into your gun, rack the slide. What's going to happen is a multitude of different things, and basically what you do is you can try out ways to fix it. So that's what happened on the first rack. Beautiful, right? So you got that, you can practice it. Tap it, rack it. Didn't work. Strip it. Happen again. So this is a drill I learned from my buddy Ben Harris, actually, at Hardline Tactical Training. It doesn't look pretty, and it's basically you just load those empty casings up, try to feed one, and just fix it from there. You tap, rack, it doesn't work, strip it, clear that casing out of there. That first one, it actually took a few racks to get it out of there. Reinsert it, try it again, it's going to happen. With a Glock, sometimes they will feed the whole time, even spent casings, but chances are they're not going to, like you just saw. So that's a drill. If you have a bunch of spent casings, obviously the caliber of your gun, fill up a mag or two and just go at it. See how you do. And I guarantee you by the end you're going to be frustrated and your hands are going to be tired. Especially if you do it in the cold, and especially if you do a full magazine of them. So it's just something to try out, and keep that in mind. See you guys later.